Welcome back, all travellers of the infinite skies. This is Pathalos here with an update to a video I did a while ago called "The Nanites Are All Mined." Some things have changed since then. Oops. And if I can, there we go. Right, the volume's working. Yes, the No Man's Sky community has been looking at all sorts of different ways of collecting nanites recently. Some of them require a lot of work. Zane has been trying all sorts of different ways of finding crashed ships, and then you can buy the crashed ships and go and scrap them and get nanites, or you can farm the monstrosities eggs and get those and refine those for nanites. This was the method that I preferred, which was a lot slower, but something has recently changed. So I wanted to give you an update and see what you think of this. Welcome to my hovering nanite refinery. Let me just give you a little tour here. This is my nanite refinery base, built on a planet that my friend Zep found, where you can harvest gold and silver. And gold and silver will refine into platinum, and platinum will refine into nanites. Now, they nerfed a while ago, I think it was in Beyond, the number of nanites you could get per platinum, and but they also greatly expanded the amount you could fit in a refiner, and that was both a blessing and a curse at the time. But something has changed. I'll show you what I mean. Right, so, I've just dropped off the edge. Let me give you a little tour first. This was my nanite refinery, and if you missed the previous video of this, over in this direction, I found a gold hotspot. Now, when I first built this, all of these were S classes, and then they did something to the amount of resources that you can gather from different hotspots. But anyway, it's still pretty good, this. So what I did was I spent a long time surveying the area, and found a point to build my base which was equidistant between a gold hotspot, a power hotspot, and a silver hotspot. So this is my gold mine. Now, many folks in the community have built, let's just go into camera mode so I don't get shaken to bits, have built similar mines. But here's my mine, so I'm collecting gold and storing it. But what I came up with the idea of doing, and I'm sure lots of people have done this as well, was then having a pipeline that goes from, oh, there's one of my inhabitants on this planet. Hello. Very exciting. Anyway, yeah, I have a pipeline that runs from here all the way back to my base, so I don't have to come over here. I can just get it from over there. And also, since I built this, they stopped needing power for silos. But there you are. Anyway, right, so that was the gold mine, and you can see all the powers linking over here. I also built in another direction. There we are. This is probably better to show you at night time. It's certainly more spectacular at night, but we'll see. An electromagnetic hotspot, and I used my signature EM build, which is the electromagnetic hotspot Christmas tree. So that's over here. I really like this planet, actually. This is largely uninhabited. I think it's a moon, but you get loads of these very interesting crystalline structures which you can harvest for gold and silver, and that was the whole point. I spent a long time looking for a planet which had gold and silver hotspots, and then my friend Zep found this one, so he and I both built nanite mines and they nerfed it for us. But there we go. So there's my EM hotspot Christmas tree. So that's generating loads and loads of power. So having done that, now these were about, well, let's see, how far away is the base? 400, and there you go. So each of those hotspots were about 500 U away from the base, and 500 U in the other direction was a silver hotspot. And what I discovered, it's amazing how much you find out as soon as you start trying to do stuff on this game. I started extending the base radius out in the same way that I'd done with these, by putting little pylons and building power, and I discovered that there's a limit to how far you can build if you've built in the opposite direction as well. It's not an equal distance from the base terminal here, the base computer, but in actual fact, if you built off in one direction, you can't extend by the same amount in the opposite direction. Oh, there's some things up. Oh, there it is. I've got my little jets. Anyway, so the third thing I tried to do, and you can probably see, where's the power cable? Yeah, going off down here. There's a pylon. There we go. I started building out, extending the base radius in this direction as before, but I only got about 2/3 of the way to this hotspot before it said, right, you've had it, you can't go any further. So I stopped building from there, and I had to put down another base computer just there. So this is on a silver hotspot. So just as before, there's my silver mine, and since then the ground has grown back over it, but it still does the same thing. There you go. So I've got the same design. Because this was a separate base, I couldn't power it from the same place. I couldn't get my wires over here, so I had to find another hotspot, which I think there you can see a wire. Let's see if the camera will go far enough. There's another EM hotspot over there somewhere. I could have powered it from solar panels, of course, but that's definitely not going to run out. So anyway, there's another Christmas tree over there. But then I started thinking, hang on a minute, the idea was that I take the pipeline back in this direction and have a silo to collect it from, but it's a different base. So now you'll see this power doesn't work. Actually, I think that power doesn't work because I took a power line back to power this last silo, and silos don't need power anymore, so there's no power going down here. But you saw that pipeline going along the same route here. I discovered that if you're in an overlapping area between two of your bases, you get to choose which base you're building, which base you're adding to. And so I extended that silver mine base back in this direction all the way to here, and that last silo here belongs to that base. Where is it? Over there. So I still managed to get one gold silo, one silver silo in the same base. There we go. So that was nice. And as you can see, I've got in here, I've got 20 large refiners. Didn't need to be large. I could have done this with medium refiners, but I quite like the capacity. Now, when I did this before, you know that the amount that you can put in one slot was massively increased after Beyond. However, each refiner output can only take, I've forgotten how much it is, a certain amount. Anyway, and there was no way of transferring. Let's just try to find anything. Here we go. Something I've got a fair quantity of. Oxygen. Yeah, that'll do. Right. There was no way before of easily changing the amount you put in. I didn't want to bung a whole 9999 lot in here and then only have a certain amount transferred into platinum, because that was wasting time. And if I went to I discovered that 2,000 platinum, 2,000 of gold and silver in here was about right, and then I could add 2,000 to all of the refiners and get back, and by that time this one was finished. But I had to press the button to increase by 10 200 times to get that amount, and that was really slowing me down. And so my record previously, in the previous video, it was 1,150 nanites made in 38 minutes. Not very good at all. However, what Hello Games sometimes do without telling us is they sneak little things into the updates, and they don't appear in the patch notes, or if they did I didn't spot it. But I had put in a request on the Zendesk for a quicker way of doing this. I said, why not, like happens in certain menus, why not have the ability to just keep your finger down on the button, and for the rate of increase to increase over time, and it goes up and up and up, and so that's a lot faster now. And the other really interesting thing is you can actually press, this is PS4, so different keys on Xbox and PC, but you can press the square button and it will halve what you've got in your stack. So I could pick that up, so let's do that again. I could press the square and it halves it. So we've now got two very quick ways of changing the amount of a quantity that you've got, that you're holding. So I'm going to go for a new record. I'm going to try here with, oh, before I do that, hang on, let me make sure I've got plenty of space in my inventory, because it becomes a problem. Chromatic metal, I want that in there instead. Have we got any room there? A little bit. Okay, right, this makes it a lot quicker for refining stuff if you've got it near the top. So 40,000 gold, and that will take about 8 hours to fill up. So you could do this if you wanted to every 8 hours. My original idea, oh look, that's I think the silver one is an S class, so that's only 6 hours. The gold one, I think it downgraded it, so yeah, there you go, just over 8 hours. My original thought when I'd designed this was that I could leave stuff running in the refiners and then go off and come back later, but there's a risk that when you load back into this, that it forgets what used to be in the refiners. So, right, I'm going to go for the record. Last time it was 38 minutes, and that was just ridiculous. Too long, not enough nanites for the time it took. So, just getting my stopwatch. Here we go. Right, I'm going to start now. I'll tell you what my record was trying this out before I went on a video, but let's try. Right, start. Okay, so having tried it a little bit more, what I want is 2,030 of gold and silver in each slot. I'll tell you why in a minute. Right, so as you can see, it's a stack quicker. If you go back and look at the video that I made on this last time, there we go, makes platinum, then it was just, this bit was just tedious. Now I know that this is going to take a while, even though, to go around all 20 refiners and put these 2,030 of gold and silver into each one. So if you want to, if you're watching this video not live, which I imagine most people will, then you might want to skip ahead about 18 or 19 minutes, because I'm aiming for 20 minutes with this, and I can't talk and count at the same time. Never mind. But if you've got 20 minutes, then stick with me, because I have a few other things to say while we're doing it. I do have to try and concentrate, and I'm doing this on a very small screen, which means I can't see the numbers very easily. I'll keep my eye on it, and I think you do get slightly better at aiming every time you do it. There we go. Anyway, right, now the idea to doing 20 refiners here, which I realise is a lot, requires a lot of materials to build them in the first place. But by the time I've loaded up 20 refiners like that, then the first refiner has finished turning our gold and our silver into platinum. So surely that's got to be the most efficient way of doing it, because what wastes time is waiting for refiners to finish. So if I've got enough refiners that the first one is finished by the time I finish filling the others, surely that's going at top efficiency. We can see. Now, this technique, I admit, requires a bit of graft, but unlike waiting in a space station to buy S-class ships, then scrap them and sell the components to get nanites, you get lots and lots of nanites very quickly for that one, but it costs a lot of money. Now, if you've got a good technique for getting money quick, and I followed someone's advice, I think it was Jason's advice, I'm not entirely sure, about how to crash the economy, selling cobalt, buying and selling cobalt and things like that. Go and check out one of his videos on that. And of course there's a good way with refiners of multiplying the amount of cobalt you have as well, because if you get condensed cobalt, react condensed cobalt with oxygen, then you can get 6 times the amount of condensed cobalt that you had before. So if you've got a good way of getting oxygen, like building an oxygen mine, like the gold and silver one is here, but for oxygen, using atmospheric harvesters, whatever they're called, gas extractors, I think, then you can very quickly make a whole load of cobalt, crash the economy, make it cheap, buy it all back, and so on and so forth. So if you've got one of those techniques for making lots of money, then sitting around in a space station buying an S-class ship, there are still some places where you can get S-class ships on the first wave, guaranteed. So buying them and then scrapping them and selling the bits for nanites is probably the fastest way of making nanites, but it costs a lot of money. So if you haven't got the money, then another way of doing it is harvesting those larval cores, and that requires a lot of fighting off the what are those horrors called? Monstrosities. Fighting off the monstrosities. Now, I resisted doing that for a long time because they were scary. But I discovered that they're not all that scary, really. If you stand on top of the building and shoot them, then for some reason their poison doesn't seem to do any damage to me. I don't know whether that's just the way I've got my exosuit set up, or whether it's just something that's gone wrong along the way, but that was alright. Okay, but again, it takes a bit of time. You can refine your larval cores into more nanites than you get from platinum. So that's another way of doing it. Another way of doing it that Zane has been investigating and maxing and minning recently is if you can find crash ships, you can get crash ships and then go and salvage them. That's another way of doing it, but as he's discovering, some of the techniques for finding crash ship sites aren't working quite as well as he'd hoped. So come back to this technique. So as you saw, I've set up my gold and silver mines, so every 8 hours I can just come and get 40,000 gold, 40,000 silver for free, and I quite like that. So minimum effort, just go along, collect it, and then hopefully, if I can do this, if I can meet my record, 20 minutes later you can have the nanites, and I'll show you how many nanites I make just as soon as I've got round these. Now I can see there's a few people joined us. So Bannermaster 69, is the game better? Better than what? Better than it was when it came out? Yes. Better than it was this time last year? Yes. it just keeps getting better. I mean, one thing that Hello Games are absolutely brilliant at, Sean Murray's committed to bringing out lots and lots of updates all the time, and he has guaranteed it will always be for free. So yes, sometimes some of the things they change, I prefer it the way it used to be. There are all sorts of things you can't do now that you used to be able to do, or tricks, but you always learn new tricks, and every update brings out new things. Like the most recent update brought out the new exomech, the Minotaur, which I've enjoyed getting hold of and stomping around in. That was good fun. I quite like the weekend missions. I know they're getting a little bit repetitive, but to be honest, I don't mind repetitive. Anyone who can sit here feeding refiners for 20 minutes must have some sort of tolerance for repetition. Get the right word. Yeah, the weekend missions, you still get plenty of Quicksilver, and there's lots of exciting things to buy in the Nexus. So yeah, I think it has got better. Should I buy it, says Bannermaster69? Absolutely. I mean, it's not quite as cheap as it used to be. Soon as the VR update came out, the price went up a bit. You can probably still find the original game second hand in various places if you have a look. I mean, you used to be able to get the game for about, well, 15 quid or something like that before the VR update came out. And as I understand it, I haven't got VR, but you don't need to buy the VR update to get the VR thing working, because you just buy the original one, 3/4 of the way around. Just buy the original one and all the updates are free. So absolutely. I mean, Bannermaster69, when did you last play it? You say, is it better? Were you just going on the original reviews? There was a lot of negative press when it first came out, wasn't there? Because it didn't do everything that Sean Murray was enthusing about before release. I did feel sorry for them. I think Sony had a lot to do with that. They wanted to bring this out as a AAA game, and I'm glad they did release it then, because I think something like this, if Hello Games had sat on it and made it everything they wanted before they released it, then we wouldn't have had it for a very long time. I mean, you see what happens with Star Citizen. That's continuing in development. It hasn't been released officially. At least folks can play it as it is at the moment. Maybe it should have been flagged up as a beta when it first came out. I don't know. But I really enjoyed the vanilla experience, to be honest. 2016. That's a long time ago. Was that? So when it first came out, I really liked it when it first came out, to be honest. And for me, the thing that's kept me going is the community, because there's a fantastic community around No Man's Sky. Nearly everybody is very, very positive, very helpful. And I'm a member of the Alliance of Galactic Travellers, who have a very strong presence on Facebook and on Discord. Yeah, I've made friends all over the world who play this, and we build communities together. I think for me that was the biggest single improvement, was when they brought out base building, which I know wasn't in Sean's original vision for the game, because he wanted this to be very nomadic, exploration based, and as soon as you start building bases, then people settle in one place. It's rather like the history and development of the human race, isn't it? But as soon as you do that, then the community lit up, because everyone was sharing photos. Oh, there's my last chunk, look. Everyone was sharing photos of the bases they'd built. Everyone was inviting each other round to their places. Right, I'm going to stop talking about that now, because as you can see, I've made 2030 platinum. 2030 platinum. Now look, they've nerfed this 35 to 1. Doesn't make a huge amount of nanites, but remember, this is for free. And I have at the moment 529 nanites. Let me write that down. 529. Doesn't take very long to turn the plasdom into nanites. So 2030. Now you can see the reason why I went for 2030, because it makes exactly 58 nanites. So Bannermaster, 2069 was the last time you played it. Have you still got your copy from 2016? Because if you have, you don't need to buy it again. You stick it in, and it might take a few hours to update, because there's been lots and lots of updates since then. But update it will for free, and you can have everything that the game is now, which is pretty good. I came to this game because in the 80s I played a lot of Elite. I know a lot of people from this community played 1984 Elite on various different platforms, and I loved Elite. And I was looking for a version of Elite on PS4, which there wasn't at the time. And a colleague of mine pointed out No Man's Sky, and I acknowledge this isn't Elite. This does different things. I have now got Elite Dangerous, and it's really good, and another game that you can play in VR, but that's a space flight simulation. This is not a simulation. This is much more of an arcade game, but I think this gives you a lot more potential for building communities, finding new things, building bases. You can't do that on Elite. Getting out and walking around, can't do that on Elite. You can on Star Citizen. I don't currently have a machine good enough to run Star Citizen. I think if I did, I'd probably investigate that for a bit. But I always keep coming back to No Man's Sky. Now we have a few more people who've tuned in. Probably... Oh, did I miscount? Let's put that gold in there. Probably because we are in unprecedented times at the moment, in lockdown. So, very bizarre time of day to be doing this, but I can at the moment. So it's nice to have some people join me. Everyone else who isn't Bannermaster, say hello, make yourself known. I must have miscounted on the silver, because I've got a little bit of platinum over. Never mind. That's what happens when you're talking at the same time as trying to do stuff. But 2030 is what you're heading for. So, how are we doing on the clock at the moment? 14 minutes. Bannermaster says, cool, you've got VR, you're buying the game. Ah, yeah, I mean, I would love to have VR. We all predicted when this got VR, we were crying out for it for ages, that it would completely change everyone's appreciation of the game. And I've never played this in VR, but I've watched a lot of people on YouTube who have, and I can remember I'm a big fan of Cobra TV, and when he first tried it out in VR, that was hilarious, because he's very, very enthusiastic at the best of times, but just hearing him go, oh, look at that, look at that, look at these plants, look at these animals. So just before we went into lockdown, I was trying to persuade a friend of mine who's got a VR set to lend it to me so I could have a go. And then we all got locked down, and so I can't borrow it at the moment. But as soon as I get the opportunity, I will. I've been trying to persuade him to get this as well. Right, nearly there. That was the halfway round point. So, am I going to beat my record? 15, nearly 16 minutes. We will try. We will try. So, I mean, anyway, when you've seen what I achieve with this method of getting nanites, let me know what you think. What are your preferred methods for getting nanites? Do you prefer the larval cores? Do you prefer scrapping ships? Would you mind just staying in one place and feeding refiners instead? Less effort? Maybe. Cheaper? Definitely. Slower? Maybe. The other methods, you've still got to find the ships and find the larval cores. I don't know. So what do you think? I mean, I can't do this every 20 minutes, because I've got to wait 8 hours for my silos to fill up. But to be fair, I only really get to play once a day anyway, so anytime I log on, I can just have a round of this, make me nanites, and then go off and do something else. Suits me. Right, we're nearly finished. Now, apart from that slight mistake, yeah, you see, when I get to my portal, teleporter, then I'm 3/4 of the way around. Hey, Bannermaster, if you do buy the game, then have a look on Facebook for the Alliance of Galactic Travellers. It'd be great to have you. And it'd be nice to know that it was when you were watching my stream that you decided to get it and come and join us. So, for those of you who weren't watching at the start, I'm doing this update because it's become a lot faster to increase the amount of any resource that you're putting into refiners, because you can now hold your finger down on the button. I used to get RSI because I had to press the down button on my D-pad 200 times to get the amount of gold and silver that I wanted in there, but now you can just leave your finger on and it goes a lot faster, much better. So I wanted to see whether it has sped up the whole process. Now you see I've caught up, but these are nearly finished. Bannermaster has actually bought it right now, so while we were on air, hallelujah for online purchases. So if you what platform are you on? Are you on PS4? Because if you are, you'll have to wait for a physical disc, I think, won't you? I've never actually tried seeing if you can download it from the store on PlayStation. I know if you're on PC, you can just download it straight from Steam. I have a few friends who play it on PC. My PC's not good enough. It struggles with the graphics, but that's because it's very old. There we go. Right, that one. Yes, there's where I... Tell you what, I'm going to stick that in there, because I've got 10 gold left over from the refiner where I miscounted. Let's just do that. Right, that might slow me down slightly, so I may not get the record, beat my record, but there's the last lot. So originally I was on 529 nanites before I started this. Bought it on the PS4 shop. Oh, does that mean it's on download? It must be. Yeah, I've got a physical disc. I'm a day one player. I hold my hand up. I pre-ordered it. So I've got a physical disc. The advantage, I suppose, of downloading it is you don't have to wait. You don't have to actually put the disc in, do you? Right, okay, so stop the clock. That was 20 minutes and 10 seconds, and originally I had 529 nanites. I've now got 1,671, so that's 1,142 nanites in 20 minutes, just staying in one of my bases, and I can repeat that process every 8 hours if I want to get that many nanites. Now that's nearly 2 S-class upgrades modules to buy. So let me know what you think about that technique. Is it something that you would consider doing? Obviously, if you want to do it the same way as I have, you need to put in a bit of time and build a load of refiners. You may have somewhere on one of your bases with loads of refiners already, but obviously there's a bit of time building gold and silver mines, and for that you have to find a planet that does that. So let me know what you think. Nice of you to drop by. Only a very quick stream today. Bannermaster, I wish you all the best with No Man's Sky I hope it brings you as much pleasure as it's brought me, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. If you've enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. I'm hoping to be back on and doing a few more things very soon in these very strange times. But for now, this is Pathalas, wishing you all the best. Keep travelling the infinite skies.